oilseeds to the Grain Marketing Board from the 2024-2025 summer production season are on an upward trend. Resources are being mobilized to ensure timely payments for the anticipated deliveries of 120,000 to 150,000 metric tons. As of the 5th of June 2025, the strategic grain reserve holds 80,208 metric tons, while the private sector's maize stocks stand at 48,293 metric tons. The 2025 cotton marketing season technically commenced on the 9th of June 2025. The minimum seed cotton prices for the season will be paid out in a 70-30 ratio in US dollar and ZiG currencies, respectively. The prices are as follows: grade A, US dollar 0.41 per kg, grade B 0.37 per kg, grade C 0.34 per kg, grade D 0.30 per kg. The season's cotton sales are projected to reach 61,000 metric tons, significantly surpassing last season's total in terms of the 13,600 metric tons. To facilitate these sales, a total of 697 buying points have been established, comprising 221 permanent stations and 476 mobile units. To ensure fair trade practices, strict guidelines have been put in place and no cotton bales will be allowed to leave a buying point unless the farmers have not been fully paid for their deliveries. Furthermore, merchants are only permitted to purchase seed cotton once they've settled all outstanding payments for previous season's deliveries, including any grade differential prices owed to farmers. As of 8 June 2025, the tobacco industry had achieved remarkable success with over 272.7 million kilograms of tobacco valued at United States dollars 917.6 million sold, produced by approximately 135,000 tobacco farmers. This impressive output translates to an average earning of over United States dollars $6,700 per farmer. This underscores the substantial economic benefits in terms of tobacco production, in terms of the farming sector, thereby bolstering household incomes and driving economic growth and development in tobacco growing areas. Notably, the marketed volume of tobacco represents a significant 41% increase compared to the same period in 2024. The 2025 deliveries are on a strong upward trajectory, with daily sales averaging 4.7 million kilograms, reflecting a substantial improvement from the 2.8 million kilograms recorded in 2024. For the 2024-2025 winter cereals plan, the production targets remain as previously announced at 600,000 metric tons of wheat from 120,000 hectares, 39,000 metric tons of barley from 6,500 hectares, and 236,000 metric tons of potatoes from 8,700 hectares. As of the 5th of June 2025, a significant progress had been made in planting, with 105,663 hectares already planted under wheat across various regions. In terms of barley production, 6,115 hectares had been planted, being 94.1% of the target, while for potatoes, a total of 3,417 hectares had been planted against a target of 8,750 hectares. Cabinet noted the report on the official handover in terms of the tools of trade, in terms of agriculture institutions and extension personnel by His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, today at State House. His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, handed over 60 vehicles, 1-ton trucks to 60 district agricultural extension workers, marking the first phase in terms of supply in over 35 years. Additionally, His Excellency the President handed over 6,000 solar charging stations and 6,000 batteries to 6,000 extension workers nationwide who had previously received 6,000 tablets to support their extension work. Furthermore, His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, handed over 20 40-ton trucks to the Grain Marketing Board and 10 40-ton trucks to the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority. These vehicles will enable the institutions to efficiently transport grain from farmers during harvest and facilitate the distribution of inputs. Cabinet received an update on various matters in the mining industry, with 3 major traditional ferrochrome producers being Zimasco, Afroshin, and Zimalois. Pertaining to ferrochrome, which is part of the value chain in terms of stainless steel production, the minister reported that it is the most volatile mineral in terms of prices. Tons per annum, and is in the process of ramping up to a design capacity of 1 million tons of ferrochrome, which will make it by far the largest producer in the country. Pertaining, Cabinet also reaffirmed the ban on the export of chrome ores and stressed the need to develop the ferrochrome industry locally. The Ministry of Mines and Mining Development will be strengthening the implementation of the use it or lose it principle, and holders of all unutilized mining titles, chrome in particular, are requested to take note of the government position. Pertaining to the lithium subsector, Zimbabwe produces mostly ores which are critical in the new energy drive. Zimbabwe lithium ore bodies are multi-element as they contain a number of minerals. Bikita Minerals and Arcadia Lithium are in the process of establishing lithium sulfate value addition facilities in order to beneficiate the lithium ores produced locally. With effect from January 2027, the export of lithium concentrate will no longer be allowed. As such, players in the sector are urged to work together with other organizations, and in particular Bikita Minerals and also Arcadia. Under the legislative program, Cabinet considered and approved the following. Cabinet approved for ratification the agreement on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biodiversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction under the United Nations Convention on the Law of Seas, which was adopted by state parties on the 19th of June 2023. Cabinet approved for ratification the agreement on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biodiversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which was adopted by state parties on the 19th of June 2023. Zimbabwe signed the agreement on the 5th of March 2025. The agreement provides for conservation of living resources in the high seas, addresses emerging threats in terms of pollution, overexploitation of marine resources, and climate change. The agreement is founded on principles of sustainable development, which is the basis of the country's environmental policies and legislation. Ratification of the agreement is therefore critical, as it will enhance cooperation with other states in pursuit of sustainable development for national and regional benefit. Cabinet considered and approved the Tourism Amendment Bill of 2025, which was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. The bill proposes amendments to the Tourism Act and seeks to ensure that the principles of public administration and leadership as set out in the Constitution and the Public Entities and Corporate Governance Act are incorporated. The bill promotes gender equality, representation, and universal access in line with provisions set out in the Constitution. The bill will strengthen the administration of the Zimbabwe Tourism Fund by introducing a tourism council responsible for the oversight in terms of disbursement of funds. The bill further seeks to strengthen regulation of the tourism sector by introducing new provisions for shutting down unregistered facilities and ensuring mandatory publication of all registered tourism facilities, as well as mandatory registration of all online booking platforms. The bill introduces civil penalties for failure to pay, collect, or remit any levies and fees, and also proposes a mandatory obligation for operators in the industry to submit to the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority statistics and information utilized for tourism planning and development of marketing strategies. Cabinet approved the above stated memorandum, which is the Memorandum of Understanding between the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of Zambia in facilitating private sector development and implementation of the Zimbabwe-Zambia oil products and natural gas pipelines project. The two republics wish to facilitate the development of a new pipeline system to transport refined petroleum from Zimbabwe to Zambia. The MOU leverages on Zimbabwe's existing capacity for oil and gas storage, processing and transportation, coupled with Zambia's growing demand for affordable and efficient energy use. Transporting fuel to Zambia by pipeline is expected to take fuel tankers off the roads, thereby reducing road damage in terms of the infrastructure. Cabinet also approved that the Parliament of Zimbabwe should ratify to the Convention on the Protection of Children and Cooperation in respect of inter-country adoption, which was adopted on the 29th of May 1993 in The Hague, the Netherlands. The convention focuses on the need for countries to work together to prevent abduction, sale, or trafficking of children, and recognizes inter-country adoption as a means of offering the advantage of a permanent home to a child when a suitable family has not been found in the child's country of origin. The ratification will further entrench Zimbabwe's collaboration with the rest of the international community in the domain of child protection. Cabinet also approved the MOU between the Federal Biological Agency from the Russian Federation and the Ministry of Health and Child Care in the Republic of Zimbabwe on the cooperation in the field of healthcare and medical sciences. The MOU, which seeks to encourage and promote equitable and mutually beneficial cooperation between the parties in healthcare and medical science. The parties shall develop cooperation in education and advanced training of healthcare professionals through activities such as organization of courses, in prevention and treatment of childhood diseases, medical research and prevention of infectious diseases, including through prevention and vaccination modalities. Cabinet noted the report on the high-level international conference on the glaciers preservation held in Tajikistan from the 29th to the 31st of May 2025. The Honorable Vice President Dr. C.G.D.N. Chiwenga led a delegation to the high-level international conference on glaciers in Tajikistan. The conference drew participants from 90 countries, highlighting the global importance of the issue. During his presentation at the opening session, the Honorable Vice President reaffirmed Zimbabwe's commitment to the declaration and joined the international call for glaciers preservation. He stressed the importance of funding scientific research to slow down glacier melting, a pressing issue which has been compounded by climate change. During the Vice President's meeting with the President of the Republic of Tajikistan, both leaders emphasized the importance of strengthening diplomatic and economic ties between the two respective countries. They also discussed the signing of pending MOUs and Tajikistan's support for Zimbabwe's bid for a non-permanent member seat on the United Nations Security Council. Additionally, the Vice President met with the Secretary General of the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, where it was proposed that Zimbabwe should host a presidential segment of SADC heads of state and government during the 15th meeting of the Conference of Contracting Parties to the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. This initiative aims to leverage the legacy of the convention and promote wetlands and conservation in the region. At the same time, Cabinet also discussed about ferrochrome producers holding mining titles, that going forward, any institution or syndicate which holds more than 100 hectares in terms of mining title will have to substantiate that also through a mining expansion plan or mining development plan. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for presenting today's Cabinet highlights. We now move to the first round of 3 questions. Then we get the Honorable Ministers to respond. Then we move to the last round, again 3 questions. Over to you, colleagues. Yes.
Afternoon, Wallace Rujidzo from the Herald newspaper. My question is directed at Honorable Minister Masuka. Minister, we just wanted to find out how will the trucks and grain carriers that were unveiled by the President today help in lessening the logistics costs, seeing that previously trucks were hired to transport either grain or inputs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes.
Abigail Tembo from ZBC News. My question, the first one is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. Minister, what measures are being taken to ensure timely payments to farmers for their grain deliveries, given the anticipated targets? And then for cotton, what support is being provided to farmers to ensure they meet these production targets, and what measures are in place to mitigate any potential risks or challenges? And then to the Minister of Mines, can you provide an update on the progress of establishing lithium sulfate value addition facilities in Zimbabwe? What is the expected timeline for completion? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. The first 3 questions to the Minister of Lands and Agriculture, Honorable Dr. Masuka. in terms of distribution of inputs, farmer payments, cotton. Over to you, Dr. Masu.
Thank you, Chair, and I thank Wallace Oruzvidzo. It would have been an anomaly if he came in here and did not ask something relating to agriculture because of his interest in agriculture, and I have researched this because of his background too. Keep it up. These trucks, they are 40-tonner trucks, double trailers with a 20-ton bin, 20-ton bin opening on either side, state-of-the-art cameras in the truck. These are not so much to lower the cost. These are more for convenience. You will recall that as we start to distribute inputs, areas far flung out, such as being difficult to reach because of roads, it's very difficult to get contractors that are willing to ply those roads. Similarly, in my central areas towards Kanyemba, where the roads are not in as good a state, we find it very difficult to get transporters. Now these trucks are veiled today by the President for the transformation of agriculture. We will facilitate the immediate transportation of presidential inputs. So from July onwards, we will be able to start distributing presidential inputs ahead of the rains to those areas so that they too will not be left behind. So that's the important aspect. It is the convenience, the availability of this fleet of 20 trucks to GMB, 10 to ADA, that will make availability of presidential inputs timely so that those communities will start their operations on time with the rains. It also means that when we distribute social welfare, it means that we can start with this core fleet of trucks without having to hire. We must also recognize, however, that at peak, GMB requires somewhere between 800 and 1,000 trucks to move grain to the more than 1,800 collection points. So we will continue to rely largely on private sector transport, but these will complement GMB efforts. Regarding ADA, the 10 trucks that were been given, generously given by the President, will allow ADA to more timeously deliver inputs to farmers and be able to collect grain for marketing. You will recall that ADA was designated the food security agent for the nation. And their target is to produce between 500,000 and 800,000 metric tons of cereals annually for the strategic grain reserve. So this will go a long way in alleviating the transport challenges that these two institutions were facing, but will go also even further in providing the convenience that's required by those that are serviced by them. Abigail Temple, grain payments. Yes, it is government's desire to pay grain as expeditiously as is humanly possible. And we have said from a policy perspective, we like to pay within 72 hours. Clearly, we have failed in the past year to honor this obligation on account of the many competing needs that the resources are facing, especially in a drought year, where we had to do social welfare issues, but also mobilize for inputs for an expected good season, which was 2024-2025. We still owe farmers some amount from last year as deliveries. And in fact, we owe just under 30 million ZIG now and 415,000 US dollars. We also owe farmers a small amount for the 8,000 metric tons that were delivered for this season, 27 million ZIG and just over 2.7 million US. We have been told that we're going to be receiving a very substantial cash injection from Treasury this week to enable us to start paying farmers as soon as they deliver. And I'll be meeting farmers' unions on Thursday to give them this assurance and to enable them to accelerate wheat planting and motivate them to deliver their summer crops to the GMB. Then you highlight an aspect relating to production targets and risk mitigation for cotton. Yes, cotton in the Second Republic, so the cotton's role as a crop is like tobacco, an agent for rural transformation, improvement of livelihoods, and so that these communities become economic actors and not economic spectators. So that allows the 500,000 households that are involved in cotton production to them to become part of the Vision 2030. So government takes this very seriously. You note last year with 13,000 metric tons produced on account of the drought, and we want to extricate ourselves from drought and related production, the swings that are associated with rain or no rain. We expect this year to be upwards of 61,000 metric tons. Government's plan is a cotton value chain approach where we want government and the private sector to be able to come up with a structured framework with sufficient flexibility to enable the growth of the sector to 350,000 metric tons. We sent a delegation to West Africa where cotton is grown by the smallholder sector, and we've had a team come back from Benin to learn lessons about smallholder production and how they are able to become one of the biggest producers in Africa, and those lessons will be integrated into our own plan ahead of 2025-2026. We are also through COTCO, and we're increasing government shareholding to enable us to have better control and therefore to be able to pay fair prices to farmers. But in that vein, we are looking at value addition and beneficiation. We started to construct an oil expression plant at Gokwe and also a feed mill. And we will be replicating this to Checheche and Uzarabani. So it is in this context that we'll be able to add more value to the crop so that we are able to pay farmers better. I look forward to a day where cotton, 5,000 metric tons or so, are not transported 150 kilometers, but are processed within the community to generate jobs, to generate incomes, and also to ensure that the goods that are, the products that come from there become more affordable. You talk about risk. I don't know if you look at your own risk universe, operational, financial, and others. We could spend some time on this to say, how do we mitigate the various risks? But government takes cotton production very seriously, and you will be seeing some more announcements regarding the cotton value chain, because the government strategy has been in the Second Republic, let's assure the nation of food security first. When we go from food security, we have feed security, and now oil seed security. So cotton is key. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Masuka. The second part, the fourth question, is to Honorable Winston Chitando on in terms of the update, in terms of the lithium sulfate plant. Over to you, Honorable Chitando.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to acknowledge the question on the update of the lithium sulfate plants, the value addition plants. I think, allow me just to give context once again that government, for all the various mineral subsectors, would like to see increased or new value addition so as to, in terms of the policies in DS1 and as we move towards the upper middle income economy and throughout the mining sector. With respect to lithium, all lithium players, first and foremost, the export of lithium ores was banned by government, and at the moment all exports are in the form of lithium concentrates. We do have two major players, being Bikita and Prospect Lithium Zimbabwe, who are in the process of establishing establishing lithium sulfate plants. These are value addition facilities which will value add from lithium concentrate to lithium sulfate. And among its other uses, lithium sulfate is a direct input into battery making. So really we are moving as a country towards producing or upgrading our spodumene, and I'll don't want to specify that it's spodumene lithium. We are moving to a stage where we are upgrading our lithium production, where we to lithium sulfate, which among its other uses is a direct input into battery making. So because of that capacity which is now in the country, the export of all lithium concentrates will be banned from January 2027. So come January 2027, no player will be allowed to, to export lithium concentrates. So would like to take this opportunity to call upon the players in the lithium sector to come together and collaborate so that those who are not undertaking, or investing in, lithium sulfate value addition facilities, they sign respective agreements for toll treatment. Because come January 2027, exports of lithium concentrates will no longer be allowed. Again, whilst that was not asked, I also want to comment on again, in terms of this broader value addition drive, the comment which was made by the chair on chrome ores, that issuance of new title of chrome ores above 100 hectares will only be allowed where it is associated with the development or expansion of furnace capacity. Because previously and traditionally, investors would come seeking chrome ore concessions, and they would be considered on their capacity to mine. But with immediate effect, concessions of chrome above 100 hectares will only be considered if they are directly linked with the development or expansion of ferrochrome production capacity. Once again, part of the value addition program. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Any questions? Last round questions? Yes,
Thank you, Chief Secretary. My name is Moko Taishingwere from the Herald. I have questions directed to the Minister of Mines and Mining Development. Honorable Minister, can you elaborate on how the use it or lose it principle will be enforced in the chrome sector? What specific measures are being put in place to ensure compliance? Also, what initiatives are the government taking to promote value addition in chrome industry? Are there any partnerships with private sector or foreign investors to facilitate this? Also regarding chrome, how will the government address environmental concerns related to chrome mining and processing? Are there sustainable practices being encouraged in the industry? Thank you.
I have questions from Chingwe. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Latu Onyangu from ZTN Prime. My question is directed to the Minister of Energy. I want the Minister to shed light on this planned next pipeline in terms of the capacity and the financing of that pipeline.
Very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chua. Chief Secretary. The first three questions are to the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Winston Chitando, on the use it or lose it principle. further elaboration is required by Mukudze? Any partnership in terms of ferrochrome production and mining? And also, how best will government address environmental concerns? Over to you, Honorable Chitanda.
Thank you very much for the question. On the use it or lose it, let's probably take a step back and look at the provisions of the law. Among its other provisions, the Mines and Minerals Act is very clear that mining title should not be held for speculative purposes. Every holder of mining title, be it a claim or a special grant, there should be protection on that mining title. That's the provision of the law. And the law further provides for monthly return, whereby the registered mine manager or registered representative of a mining location has to submit monthly returns which reflect production from the particular mining title. Non-production or failure to produce from a registered mining title or failure to optimally produce makes any mining title a candidate for the enforcement of use it or lose it principle in terms of the provisions of the law. So what is happening is, in an effort to ensure that we get Zimbabwe gets optimum value from its minerals, and that the minerals play the rightful place in the development of the country, the ministry will be accelerating the implementation of the use it and or lose it principle. And simply on that basis, where there is zero production, you are a candidate for use it or lose it. Or where there is suboptimal production, you're a candidate for use it or lose it. I think at this stage, I will indicate that there will be, in July, a major policy pronouncement, which, among other things, will touch on issues to do with the environment, and will touch on issues on certain structures which will be unveiled for the development of the sector, specifically looking at the small-scale mining sector. That will be definitely unveiled by mid-July. So I will leave those two questions. You can always ask them after that event, but they will be catered for. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The fourth question is from ZTN Prime for Honorable July Moyo. They want further elaboration in terms of the Zimbabwe-Zambia pipeline. Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, ZTN Prime. And I want to thank you for asking this question. It's an important question in the sense that Zimbabwe, where we are sitting in the middle of Southern Africa, have become a conduit for many integrated SADC infrastructure. We are connected with everyone in terms of the Southern African power pool. We are connected with everyone in terms of the railways, and we are connected with everyone in terms of the road network and communications as well. So pipelines are very important for transportation of both fuel and gas. And we are using our pipeline transportation from Beira to Feruka and from Feruka to Harare. But there is a need to extend this to Zambia and from Zambia to DRC. Why? Is because there's a lot of transportation by road of fuel. And some unscrupulous persons, both in Zimbabwe and outside Zimbabwe, use this road network in order to bring fuel instead of taking it to Zambia, where they will have declared that it is going to Zambia. They end up selling it here, thereby evading our taxation system, customs. And once we plan and implement this pipeline, all these ills will be a thing of the past. So we are planning for both fuel and gas. The fuel is easier because we have capacity now, which we are increasing in terms of fuel volumes. We are increasing from 2.5 to 3 million a year, and we will be increasing by end of this year. We will now be doing 5 million. Both CPMZ in Mozambique and our own pipeline through Petrozim will increase. And so to take it from here to Zambia will be necessary. But we can also look at other interconnectors of this in Botswana, in northern South Africa, but these are issues which are in discussion. So this memorandum which we are signing with Zambia is the first step in having these interconnectors. It is planned that the private sector will be the main uptakers, and we are confident that the private sector will see this as a good business. But government remains seized with it. We have the Pipeline Act, which we administer. There are other regulatory issues that we have to make sure happen when people are constructing and using a pipeline. So we are very promotive. I cannot tell you how much the capacity is going to be, because it's a matter of feasibility studies that will be done by the private sector in conjunction with us to see what capacities are there in Zambia and whether those capacities can be increased if there is throughput which can go to DRC, because tracking to DRC is also there. So we are taking it step by step. We are going to Zambia, and the feasibility studies will tell us what is the planned capacity. The financing, as I've said, is we are trying to attract the private sector, and there is appetite for it. And we will make sure that whoever gets it, when we have our gas coming from Zarabani, that gas is not only to be reticulated here in Zimbabwe through pipelines, but also it can be reticulated to Zambia through pipelines. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers, for responding to those questions. We've come to the end of today's session. Let's meet next Tuesday. Thank you very much.